I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Engineer Clarity. Hi, my name is Mark Boersma, President of Synergy Solutions, and I'll be your executive coach, facilitator for today's case study. It's an ongoing case study with Michael Schuster and his team, and we're really focused in the BOSS system in box 5, which is implementation of the strategic strike. I'm going to try some different light here. My gracious, I look like I'm in heaven or something. There we go. That's a little bit better. And so this is, we have talked about this ongoing series. And so the strategic strike is maybe the hardest of the 30 boxes. So it's a series of touches and being able to go through. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. Again, this is a working mastermind. And so we're going to dive in here. So Michael, what we kind of put together is just overview. We have a passion to provide a real estate experience, which to create a raving fan experience. So we'll go ahead and have your team kind of work on that, but kind of an overview. Big picture is create a program to touch our clients, and it should be our prospects. In such a way that it sets the foundation for the raving fan experience, which will turn prospects into clients and will close prospects faster. So when we look at the 530 grid, marketing generates the leads. So you've got more and more leads coming in than you're able to handle in referral partners and stuff. And you're just sharing, prior to kind of in the pre-show, you were sharing about how you had somebody connect with you, and you said you kind of shared, hey, yeah, and talk to my team. And so you're doing great, dishing it to your team. Once we get a lead, and this could be for professional referral partners, CPAs, accountants, attorneys, insurance agent, builder, doctors, anyone who owns a business, anybody who has influence. Once we get the lead, then we want to, work that lead in pre-sales to get that person either, buy or sell, list or be a buyer, or development or referral partners, all of that. So often the sales cycle is long. We want to shorten that thing down. So a strategic strike is a series of hits. So what we did is we actually took an example, and your team will strip this one down. This was for I think, a chamber of commerce. And so, the first thing you do is kind of, so strike number 1. So immediately there's an email that goes out. And once you build the email strike system, that's going to be connected into your CRM system, maybe some other technology that's going to track some things. There might be a website, there might be a landing page, there might be a whole bunch of different things, but it's going to go out day 0. And then, strike 2, you might have go out, 1 day later, 2 days later, 5 days later, whatever it is. And so in your first touch, any idea, have you ever put together a mission statement for your team? Do you have a vision statement, mission statement, purpose, any of those type of things?
Oh yeah, we did all of those things.
And do you still have them, and do they still apply?
We talked about going through them and reviewing them. I think they're actually still valid in and of themselves. So John Gualtieri, who I used to work with, was big on that, so that the team kind of was, focused on the right actions, the right ideas.
And are those things that you'd want to share with potential clients?
Possibly.
Okay.
They're general enough to like a professional referral or a customer, but yet they're specific enough to us where they, they're kind of our beacon.
So share the passion for success, our company, team, vision, making sure that it's all about them.
Yep.
That kind of is the basic. So here you have the subject line. So what subject line? Often it's asking a question, telling a story. It might be imagined. It could be something more generic than that. Any ideas what the subject line could be? Could be just thank you. Could be, it could be, could you help me?
Possibly.
So we could go ahead and change this. So you can always change it, but so you kind of go through and you don't get into the details. It's more of the expressive energy, the wavy line, and then it's more of the, so what we're doing is we're going through and it's more of the expressive coming up with ideas. And then the driver kind of sorts it out and the analytic kind of puts it, all in place. So we don't really, this can all be changed. So then we go and say, is there something they are learning in our communication with them? So what do we want to get across to them? We care. We are different. We have a process which will create a raving fan experience. So you're going to be, the star of the show, Michael. And so you're kind of internalizing this and saying, okay, what am I going to want to say? And then I think it's 97% of our communications is not the words. Often people are so focused on the words that they're not, this is why video can be so challenging, because people get an impression, of you. And so you want to, often start off as the expressive, and then you might normally you'd slide over into the driver, and then you might slide down into the amiable, and then slide up to like a sideways Z into the analytic. So you're thinking, you start off kind of, body language and wow, it's really exciting to see you. And then you say, you might hit the bottom line. So you're dealing with a people person, a task person, a people person, and then a task person again. So you're so that's one way to go through and do it. In a way, you don't really want to overthink it. Like you don't want to fixate on it. It's like in your subconscious, you have all of these personalities. You have a primary and a secondary personality. You want to blend in, the third and fourth in there. And so you kind of use this to come up with, okay, here's the first one. So, could you help me? And so we want to ask them a question which will cause them to pause and think, that's interesting. Really are a different type of company. Then you're familiar with the foundation of all finance, risk and return. The higher the risk, the higher the return. And so, you can think about, would you go ahead and try to pull off, personality assessment? Like, would you phrase it that way and say, it's interesting based on different personalities. And so you notice that I pause, kind of look down. So I'm thinking introspectively. I might know exactly what I'm going to say. So it's okay to do that because it helps you to be sincere, like you're not scripted. So if you have the right words, you might still pause, kind of look down or look up or both. So you might go ahead and do that. It's okay to do that. In Toastmasters, they'll never teach you to stutter. But stuttering can be a wonderful thing because it makes you look like you're not too polished, like you're sincere, like I'm really interested. So you're trying to you try to feel the energy of everybody that's ever going to see this, and you try to put it in there. Nice thing is, again, it's 2-3 minutes, so you can redo it many times as you want. And so it might be something, it might be something that you might say, different personalities actually like to be serviced in a different way. And so we have this really cool 3-minute personality assessment. If you could take this, it'll be fun for you. It'll be fun for you. And it'll help us to better understand you and how to service you. So again, you probably don't see very many real estate people doing something like that. And so it's different. I'm not saying I'm just brainstorming that. So we get your EVA team, your coaching team to come together and come up with some type of rough copy on the first email, and then they'll link that to a Google. Let's see what's over here. Here are the 6 in the inbox 2. Inbox 2 and sticky messages to develop and deliver a message. So Antoinette is being certified right now, actually, and going through an amazing course, sticky messages. So it's in Dan and Chip's Heath's book, Made to Stick. It's simple, it's unexpected, it's concrete, it's credible, it's emotional, and it's a story. So the more of these, you don't have to have all 6 of them, but the more of these 6 that you have, the more sticky the message is going to be.
Okay.
And so you want to kind of remember those things there. And again, we'll get you this. You can go in and kind of look at this. And then if there's a call to action, so a lot of times, like, what do I want them to do? So, and then the challenge is you got to coordinate this to make sure that it gets through the spam filters and doesn't go into junk and all that kind of stuff. And then there might be an offer. So there's a whole bunch of different things. And then it tracks, how many emails were sent and how many were delivered and how many were opened. And so you start tracking what we talked about, I think in the last one, pressure point analysis. So this is not a quick, easy fix. Like, okay, we try it, does it work? Okay, how do we make it work better? So then what I do in building these, and it's like an art and a science. So I've built hundreds of strategic strikes over the years. So could you help me? What did you think? And then you might, and so it's like a chicken egg, like you're going back and forth, you're playing. And then in that first one, like your EVAs can customize, they can use the personality assessment, which of these 4 shapes, but they might lead with a, are you looking for, and there might be a drop down, or there might be something, are you looking to buy? Are you looking to sell? Are you looking to whatever you're looking to do? And so they can create a landing page that'll have that, or a survey, or both, that'll have that information. And then what's the number one thing that you're looking for? So in the sales process, you typically have 4 levels of questions. So level 1 question is going to be 3 minutes or less. So it's to, like, thinking back to, the days when you were dating, the first objective, the objective of the first date is to get them to want to do a second date.
Second date. Yep.
Yep. So that's the whole objective. It's not for marriage. It's if I like them. So the first 3 minutes is to get them to like you, to say, huh, that's interesting. Like, wow, yeah. So that's the first 3 minutes. The next 11 minutes of questions is to determine if you want to date them, if they're a good client for you. So that's the next 11 minutes. So that's 14 minutes right there. And then level 3 questions are 16 minutes. And so that's a series of questions that moves them. So that, again, that's going back into the 530 grid and asking questions. And so the 16 minutes is asking questions, but you're asking questions to move them to the last question you ask at the end of, about 24 minutes. It's amazing. You say, so is there any other questions that I should have asked that we didn't ask, or any additional information we should know that we don't know? And if they say, well, you should have asked about this, you say, oh, that's a great question. And then you ask that question. And then they answer it. And then you say, is there any other questions that we should have asked that we didn't ask, or any additional information we should know that we don't know? And then they might say, well, it'd be nice for you to know this. And so you ask that question. And then you ask them again, is there any other questions we should have asked that we didn't ask, or any additional information we should know that we don't know? And they say, no, I think you got it. If you don't, even the best salespeople in the world will often not do that. And it's a huge mistake, because if they're thinking, wow, like he should have asked this question, it doesn't matter. It's what they think. And so if they think you should have asked a question that you didn't, you're then like a doctor giving them a prescription when you haven't done a proper examination, and they won't trust you. Does that make sense? Yep. So the only two boxes in the 530 grid that you make money on is box 4 and box 8. Those are the only two you make money on. Everything else prior to that is leading up to box 4 and 8. And everything after 4 and 8 is supporting the sale. So it's asking the question and then presenting the solution. And so when they say, no, I think you've got it all, say, okay, do you have any questions for me? And you've flawlessly done the presentation when they're saying, yeah, like, how do we get started? Or where do I sign? Or what do I? So when they're emptied out of all their questions and you've gone through and they say, wow, that was really, really interesting. Now there's another level beyond that. There's a level 3. So there's a level 4 for the analytics and the amiables. And so you have it for the analytics and the amiables, because these individuals will typically want to go ahead and the analytic wants, like, you move too quickly for them. So they want more questions. They want you to ask more questions. They want to ask more questions. And the amiable. So these two people are like, okay, yeah, after 14 minutes and 16 minutes after 30 minutes, they're ready to roll. But these two will tend to slow you down in going through it. And so, so what did you think? So a lot of times I'll try to develop 6 subject lines, and then I go through and, I develop 6 subject lines, and then I kind of build this out here, basic, content and ideas. And then is there something we want to, communicate, something that they want to learn? So most salespeople, they're really teachers. And so you're asking questions to open up their mind, and then you're sharing a story to get them kind of moving and in gear. Questions on this or thoughts, Michael?
No, I think a couple different means, but higher end kind of high trust projects like real estate and stuff like that, it really is more of a journey and an educational process. If you're selling, jewelry or blue jeans or clothes, it's more of, kind of the image and the energy.
Right, the branding. Right. So what you're looking for is so there's product or service sales. So when you look at, sales, there's product or service sales. And so you're giving a product or service, you're providing it for them, they value it, they're giving you money. So that's one type of sale. There's advantages and disadvantage of that, but it's essentially price point. Lowest price, like, okay, I can do it. The next higher level is going to be relationship selling. So that's going to be the next higher level is relationship selling. So you're selling based on relationships. The next higher level than that typically is going to be consultative selling. And so in consultative selling, what you're doing is you're asking questions and then you're consulting them through the process. The highest form of selling that I've experienced individually is going to be insight selling. And insight selling, it's the most powerful of all. If you can get somebody to say, that's a great question 3 times, they'll buy anything from you. So I've been to networking groups literally where I had a guy once, and I was talking to him like 7 minutes. And he's like, Mark, I have no idea what you do. Now, I just want to buy whatever you have. Like, he's like, that's a great question. That's a great question. That's a great question. And there's an entire science. We won't go into that. But in insight selling, that's where you're getting questions. And if they say that's a great question, it's right outside their knowledge base, but they can sense they need to have it. So it really provides something. It can slice through in real estate. There's a lot of based on relationships. They know 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people. And so when you have the reputation you do, the network that you do, you combine that with insight selling, you put that all together, and that's really powerful. Now, there's also triangulation selling. And so in triangulation selling, that is where you get 3 people, at least 3 people, and A and B are cross-selling C, B and C are cross-selling A and C are cross-selling B. So if you had 2 words that would best describe you, Michael, what would be those 2 words?
Probably visionary.
Okay.
And thoughtful.
Okay. So visionary tends to go ahead and appeal to the driver. Thoughtful tends to appeal to the analytics. So you'll tend to appeal to both of these. Visionary could appeal to the expressive, and thoughtful could, appeal. So those, you do have good with those too. So if you go ahead and get your 2 referral partners and you start building a strategic strike from, if you get your referral partners, you get clients to say, one thing that I've noticed about Michael is he's a visionary and he's very thoughtful. If that becomes your subconscious brand, and if they hear 2 or 3 people say that, so you get a financial planner, you get a CPA, you get an insurance agent, you get a mortgage professional, you say, hey, when you're referring somebody to me, or if I'm referring somebody to you, sometime, somewhere in the conversation, I'd appreciate if you'd say, hey, one of the things I was thinking about Michael is he's a real visionary, and man, is he thoughtful. So if you get them saying that that goes into the subconscious, into where people are saying, wow, everybody's saying the same thing about Michael, it must be true. So rather than have people, so you start to partner with your referral partners, and that's why it's so, valuable to partner with you, because you're not just building systems to sell yourself and service, you're building systems to partner and service with other people to build their business. So as your business grows, their business grows, their business grows, your business grows. Together we can truly accomplish so much more than we ever could on our own. So that's, I think we got a good start on it. Your Action Vision coaching team and your EVA team will dig into this. And by next week, they should have 6 subject lines that they would recommend. They should have this filled out. They should have the first email um, written for you that you can then review over. And then you can then do a video based on, this and the email. Now, they may, once they see the video, so the email may be longer, but after you do the video, you may eliminate the need for the video or for the written copy. So they may say it may tighten it up. So less words is more, both verbally and written. But then again, what we're trying to connect into them is the 3 learning modalities. So visual, verbal, and kinesthetic. So getting them to engage to do a short 3-minute survey, getting them to engage to do the short, 3-minute survey. We may take 2-3 weeks to develop that first touch, because that first touch is the first impression.
Right.
So we're not sending this out to 10,000 people. We're sending it out to the next prospect that comes on. So this is going to be, once you get a prospect, ideally, every prospect that comes in, doesn't matter good, bad, qualify, not qualify, wherever they did, every prospect gets that one video in this email. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then once we do it, we may redo it 2 or 3 times. But once we get it going, once the flow goes, the first, it may take 2-3 weeks to get that first one to say, okay, yep, this is what we want, or it might go next week. But once we get it, then it tends to flow very quickly. Do you have any ideas on how frequently you'd like the email to touch them? Like day 0, immediately, obviously. Are you thinking a day? Are you thinking 2 days? When would you like the next one?
So are we sending these to customers, prospects?
Prospects.
Referral partner?
That's where, in an ideal world, you'd have a separate strategic strike.
Right.
And so what you might do is you might go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to, I want to give you the experience that if you were to refer somebody to me, if you're to refer somebody to me, I want you to kind of get the experience that I would give them. So you have an idea. So you could put an email at the top of them or have one of your EVAs connect with them and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, and just turn on. So right now, think of just prospects. Any prospect's going to get this.
Okay. Well, then I think you want to touch them probably, obviously right away, and then probably the next day as a follow-up, and then maybe in 2 days.
Okay.
And then probably, maybe in another 3 days, hit them with another follow-up strike.
Okay.
And then maybe go 5 days.
Okay.
I know you need to connect with them at least probably, 10 to 12 times before they resonate.
Yeah. So.
And probably that, like where you're out about a week or so, a week and a half, you probably need to interject a phone call or more. So it's a personal check-in with them.
Yeah. And I would do that. I'd probably recommend immediately after the first email, either after or before the first email to make sure they got it, because it might go into spam. And so you think you're touching them, but you're really not touching them.
Right.
So if we did this, if we did 1, 2, so if we go up to 12 touches, so 12 touches with a touch rate of 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 7, 7, 7 is a 2-month touch, and you're going to touch them 12 times.
Probably about right.
And then in those, and then again, you continue to enhance it. You continue to go through it. And so you might have, I like to always have PSs, PS, and then you might send them to a website, your website. You might send them to an article. You might send them to something funny. You might send them to, whatever you want to do. So it's getting them to know, like, and trust you, and having that then automated, and then you have somebody from your team call them right away, say, hey, I wanted to just get you the email. You'll be getting a few of these periodically that, will help you to better understand and gain value. It might be, 7 tips to buying a home. It might be, how to select a realtor. I mean, it could be whatever you want it to be. And again, this is not a destination. This is a journey. And so what you're doing is box 5 is helping you to convert more prospects. So if, the average person is going to convert 1 out of 10, if you can get it to where it's just 1 more out of 10, you increase your business by 100% with no additional leads, no additional work. That's how powerful a strategic strike can be. And so it helps you to convert a higher percentage of your area 2, and it helps you to reduce your sales cycle. So the more you can reduce your sales cycle, the more you make in less amount of time, and the less time you work. So you're making a lot more money, working a lot less hours. So honestly, it's a pain to build these things. Like, it really is, and to keep them up, but it's worth that effort there. Any questions on that, Michael?
No, I don't think so. I think we're in good shape.
All right. Antoinette, Katrina, any questions either of you have? We good? All right. So if you're listening, you're good? Okay. So if you're listening to the rebroadcast of this and you haven't partnered up with Michael, you want to do that. You can tell, like, he's serious about business, like, and he's serious about systems, serious about servicing clients. He's serious about helping you grow your business for 2 reasons. One is he's a nice guy, just do that. 2 is, obviously, as your business grows, his business grows. As his business grows, your business grows. So it's a concept called selfless selfishness. So it's mutually beneficial. How do you create win-win situations? And so you want to partner with him, because that is good for everybody. If you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300. That's 888-230-2300. If you're calling in outside the U.S., you can call the U.S.-based number at 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
Have a great